Or everyone, welcome back. I've had a chance to play through the new Descent mode quite a few times now, having got to the Nemesis, and wanted to give my thoughts and feedback because I do have a few things that I want to say, both good and bad. So hopefully this video contributes to any changes Massive make when this mode goes live with Season 5 in June. If you've managed to play the mode, leave your feedback at the end of the video in the comments down below. This is impressions, of course, based on what is available now on the PTS, or as of me making this video, not now because the PTS is down, and it's not based on what might be coming. Drop a like, subscribe for Division content, and let's begin. I'm going to assume if you're watching this video, you know what the Descent mode is and how it works. It's a roguelike mode, unlike anything we've seen before, and there are endless build possibilities, and that's kind of where I want to start. The strongest aspect of this mode is the incredible power and variety of choice there is. Talents found in the main game, for example, Allegro, can be stacked to make them even more powerful. So stack 2 of Allegro and you get 20% rate of fire as opposed to the normal 10%. Stack 3 of them, you get 30%, and so on. I've only actually got it up to 5 times, and I believe that the highest limit or the upper limit is 10 times. So with something like Allegro, you could get up to 100% rate of fire. But nevertheless, even just getting 5 stacks of Allegro, or let's say for example Optimist, that makes the second half of the M1A magazine, for example, disgustingly strong. It's the only place in the game that you start to actually feel like a god, especially when you realize you can combine any talents in the main game together, up to 5 offensive, defensive, and utility talents. Now, unlike the backpack and the chest requirements, the specific talents that you need for those slots in the main game, here all the talents are available for you to use, including exotic talents. Getting the bighorn exotic talent on a Vector, it's just mind-blowing, especially when you pair that with, say, for example, Allegro. You know what I mean? You're getting that 10%, or if you've got 5 stacks of Allegro, you're getting 50%. Plus, you've got unlimited ammo. The amount of DPS that you're doing is crazy. Descent gives you power and variety that is unmatched anywhere else in the game. And this is by far the standout feature of this mode. And this is what's going to get people to play the mode for sure, at least initially. Now, continuing on the positives, the environment is really great. The arenas all have their own vibe, and the attention to detail is second to none. There is a mixture of small, medium, and larger rooms. I found that having that one long-range weapon like an M1A and then a close-range weapon like an SMG or a shotgun to be the best loadout that you can have, allowing you to have a weapon for whatever room that you get. I also love the use of kind of like the green to indicate the simulation. It reminds me of Matrix a little bit, and I just think it works really well here. And whilst the environment isn't huge, it's not the biggest thing, it's not going to be the thing that makes you play the game or play the mode, for example, it is something that can put me off personally. When I played the Summit, aside from all its other issues, my biggest critique for that particular mode was the fact that it didn't look like a skyscraper, it looked like a basement. It never felt like you were going up at all. Countdown looks amazing, and this continues that by looking amazing as well. Another positive is the mode is free to everyone, and anyone can jump in and play. Now, how Descent works is really, quite simple. So when you've got everyone playing, and it's quite simple, it's going to be widely available to everyone just to jump in and have a good time. It's going to reach the biggest audience possible, and that's a good thing. Unfortunately, however, the simplicity of the mode is also one of its biggest pitfalls. Unlike the Countdown mode, or even the Summit, Descent is extremely simple with no dynamism at all. You enter an arena, and there'll be doors highlighted in that arena in red. That's going to tell you where the enemies will come out of. You take those enemies down once the timer goes from 10 to 0, and that's really the arena done. The only other thing that happens is sometimes you get more than one spawn, but it's basically 1 or 2 waves or 3 waves. I'm not sure exactly how many waves it goes up to, but I think the most is 2 or 3 waves, I believe so. In some other rooms you do get modifiers, like you have EMPs and you get toxic gas and fire, but at least from my experience, they don't really add any difficulty to any of the arenas, and I never felt as though I really had to pay attention to them. Even at my lowest possible power, On top of this, each wave of enemies is perhaps made up of between 5 to 10 enemies maximum. I'm not saying I want the rooms to be flooded with enemies and you know, drones and fires and EMP and all that sort of stuff. But when you've got those particularly, you know, those big arenas, then it feels like there's just far too much space. It feels kind of abandoned a little bit. I was hoping for a little more in each arena, especially when you consider like Countdown, where you've got different stuff going on in each kind of area. Summit, for example, each area you go to has something new and has different things to do. This game doesn't have that. This mode doesn't have any of that, and it's just you go into an arena, you point, you shoot, you take down enemies, and you move on to the next arena. Moving on to the biggest issue with Descent for me, and that's the lack of checkpoints. This came as a surprise, seeing as each level will take 10, 15 minutes, and you're going to need to probably get to a level 5, I believe, is the lowest you can get to, in order to reach the Nemesis. A fight that is actually really difficult, at least for me, without shock ammo, which is something people have told me to use, and I never used prior to the PTS going down. You're probably looking at 90 minutes on average to get to and beat the Nemesis, and if you wanted to carry on, well, it's endless, so you can kind of go on forever. I've seen someone reach level 100 and it took them 18 hours, no checkpoints, so that's non-stop. Considering this mode is simple and accessible to everyone, I'm very surprised they expect you to, at the very least, give up 90 minutes of free time in order to beat Nemesis. And there will no doubt be data errors, there's going to be bugs that are going to stop you playing as well, and you can't just load back into it, you are going to have to start again. Checkpoints at the start of each new level, I think it's essential this be included at launch, or I do see this mode failing pretty much day one. I know for me personally, I'll beat the Nemesis, I probably won't go back to it again if there are no checkpoints. I just don't have an hour and a half to 2 hours to sit there and play a game mode. You know, there will be people out there who can do that, and that's great. But again, I'm surprised when it's kind of for everyone, that it's not for everyone. Of course, if you die, then you should have to go back to the beginning of the mode. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. The next big issue is rewards. On the PTS, we had no rewards. Massive have confirmed there will be rewards at a later stage in the PTS. So I'm going to pass judgment for now. What I will say is, unlike some of the modes from The Division, you know, Survival, Resistance, for example, this mode will need rewards worth our time investment. In the honeymoon phase, I'm sure players could enjoy the mode without any rewards, as I've done on the PTS, but that will quickly dissipate, so I do hope Massive have thought about that. I'm sure they have. I'm hoping to get some pretty cool rewards there. I've always been a big fan of exclusive rewards for certain modes. The same way the Summit, I think you could get the capacitor there, the exotic. It would be good if they tied an exotic to this mode, vanity items, all of that sort of stuff would be really great. The last thing I wanted to mention was a feeling. I said earlier that you feel like a god in this mode. You are a god in this mode, especially after level 30, where I've heard enemies no longer scale. So you are still getting more powerful, but those enemies are not getting any stronger. You become a god. Now that is a great feeling, there's no doubt. A feeling so many of us have felt is lacking outside of this mode. Descent gives you everything that you want outside of Descent. So when you leave your god character and go back to your normal character, you feel just that. You feel normal. And you feel even more normal than you currently do in the game. Even more normal than ever, because you know what it feels like to be a god. It's not a great feeling, I'll be honest with you. I don't know if it means anything. I don't think there's anything they can do about that. It is what it is. It's just one of those things. When I jump back into my character on the normal, just on my normal Xbox account, yeah, I felt so weak in comparison to my god character on the PTS in Descent mode. Overall, then, I think Descent has some good bones. I really like the roguelike elements, and unlike Summit, I think this mode has a really strong base to build on. If Massive can guarantee some really good rewards and they can add checkpoints, I think the mode will be well received at launch. But I do think the mode needs more. It's just a bit too simple for me. And not simple in terms of people being able to jump in and play it. I think that accessibility-wise, it's absolutely fine. I just feel like especially when you get up to some of the higher levels, there needs to be something more added to the rooms just to make it a bit more dynamic. I think at the moment it's just not dynamic enough. There could be a way that they could add directives to it. You could even add some new directives where it doesn't tell you which doors the enemies are going to spawn from. All that sort of stuff. They need to add something more to it just to make it a little bit more exciting. Because I can see after the honeymoon phase it being, unfortunately, one of those modes that you play a couple of times, you get the stuff that you want, and then you probably don't go back again. Maybe. I don't know. But that's it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Until the next one. Epic out.